Hello, everyone. My name is Rachel Smets, and today I'm introducing you to Jesse Krieger. Hi, Jesse.
Hi, Rachel. Nice to see you.
Yeah, nice to see you too. It is a pleasure and an honor to have you participate in this video series, but actually as a part of my book. My book will be focusing on confidence and how successful people achieve and have their confidence. And confidence, in my opinion, doesn't come just out of the blue and you're not born with it, but you went through a whole lot of phases in your life. And I want to know all about your story, Jesse, so we can dig that out of you. So let me introduce you to begin with, for the people that wouldn't know you. You are an international bestseller author. You are the founder of and publisher of Lifestyle Entrepreneurs. We're going to talk about that. Also, Lifestyle Entrepreneurs Press. You have a best-selling book called The Lifestyle Entrepreneur. And I guess it all started in Asia, and then you moved to the US, and you're going to talk all about that. And you are now an inspiration and an instructor to aspiring authors and lifestyle entrepreneurs. Am I missing something, Jesse?
You got the broad strokes.
Cool. Now, talking about confidence, I want to go back into your life a little bit and just start with, okay, years ago as a child, young adult, were you always this, now you're a great communicator and speaker and coach and mentor, but how were you back then? Were you always so open and communicative?
Well, I'd say yes and no. I'd say if you really go back, growing up, I feel very fortunate to have had a supportive family that, encouraged me to try things I thought were interesting. I wasn't so outspoken when I was younger. I was a little shy, but then I was also friends with people that were really extroverted. And I saw that when I was around different types of situations, different types of people, it pulled me out more and more. And so a lot of my background, I guess, is proactively pushing my own comfort zone in different ways, as well as surrounding myself with people that are doing, essentially what I want to do or like to do as well, to build an environment that's supportive of being more confident and emboldened. Now, that all sounds very conceptual, but I can give you an illustration of this.
Yeah, please.
So, I know you're in Europe. I spent some time living in Vienna, Austria, actually, at 19, 20 years old. And, the way that all happened was, at least in the US, right? When you turn 18, especially as a guy, you have this sort of built up energy of like, time to go out into the world, right? And your father's like, you can go wherever you want, but you can't stay here. So I turned 18. I was good and ready to start exploring. I went to Los Angeles and went to music academy there in the year 2000, and then had an opportunity to travel Europe with a group of my really good friends in 2001. And what happened, Rachel, was really interesting. We had a flight booked for September 15th, 2001. And so there we were on September 11th, watching literally the whole world change in front of our eyes and wondering, what, are we still going to go and travel? And then I was like, well, what can we actually do at 19 years old at the time? And so we actually got on one of the first outbound flights, and it was just really just interesting time. It was so tense, and you could feel like things were shifting in the world. But once we got to Europe and got into traveling and having fun, it was a whole new experience. And we talk about being confident. Going to countries where you don't know the language, making friends, finding accommodations. I ended up staying for the better part of a year. I skipped out on my ticket home and was like a street musician and played in bars and clubs in Vienna and London and all that good stuff. And so, this strand of being encouraged to try things you think are interesting, coupled with at least enough confidence to start going down that path, results in having, what ends up being some really cool experiences and stories.
I can so relate to that, and I didn't know that. And first of all, I wouldn't forget 2001 either. That September 11th, I was actually on holiday in Italy at that time, and I was on the beach, had no idea what was going on in the world until 2 days later. I think I realized what happened. So I'll never forget that. But I've been traveling a lot, and I've lived and moved in different countries, just like you. And it's just what you said is so true, that you get out there into a new culture, a language you don't know, and it opens your eyes. But it just you learn so much from that experience. And I also like what you said is that you kind of all maybe then that was major at that time when you were 19, but always before that as well, you said you always kind of pushed yourself outside of your comfort zone. I think that's a big key, though, that you kind of always took some actions to do something and try something new, right?
Yeah. I mean, really think about this. Even yesterday here in Las Vegas, I gave a talk to 50, 60 people on like how to live more bold in life. But I can't take all the credit for this, because it's like when you're growing up, so much of your experience in early life from 14, 16, 17, 18 years old, I think is largely influenced by the environment you grow up in, your parents, your family. And so I'm really thankful that, I had a father and a family that was like, literally would say, you can't just sit here and watch TV, like go out, explore, hang out with friends, do something outside. You're not going to sit on your butt and just like be a passive observer of life. So even if you didn't have that kind of encouragement or support growing up, it's fine in the sense that there's now so many avenues and so many ways that you can get information like this, and from people like Rachel and myself that publishes books. When you start looking for answers, I promise you there's plenty of information out there, and communities of people you might not even know exist that that could end up becoming some of your best friends.
That's absolutely true. And I've got really good friends. I mean, super relationships all over the world by traveling, actually. But what's important is what I get out of what you said is don't be a passive observer. I like that.
Yeah.
Because it's not by sitting at the couch. I mean, yes, all the information is out there, just like you said, but you have to go out there and get it. It's not going to come to you. Okay.
Yeah.
So I think that's
actually, go ahead.
No.
I think it's very appropriate to sort of share, because I've been thinking about this all weekend. I was at this event speaking on boldness, and of course, boldness and confidence are very similar in some respects. And one of the first things that I shared that I'd like to share with you and with your listeners here is this idea of being the author of your own experience and not a victim of circumstance. Because what we always have control over is how we react to events, even if we can't control the events that are happening. But even one step beyond that is you have the ability to start to shape events to your liking. And, if you take that mindset that you can actually influence and impact the world with what you do, what you think, the actions you take, organizations you build, then you start to become way more in the driver's seat of your experience in life. And I really think that that's what a lot of what life's all about. I don't feel like I'm living if I'm sitting focusing on somebody else's agenda or somebody else's dream necessarily. And, or having like a job that you're not passionate about, things like this. If that's the situation, then you've got to start taking action to change it, because quite literally not having as complete an experience of life as is available.
Yes, I agree, but I have a question. Okay, first of all, I like what you said, be the author of your own experience, okay? I like that, because just last week I had another conversation, and you kind of say the same thing, and I want to mention that because it's inspiring, actually. Be the author of your own experience, and also watch your own script, watch your own movie, be the one watching it, and shape the events to your liking. So I like that a lot as well, and you got to take action. I think that's what it comes down to. But now the last thing that you just said intrigued me, because you said, well, if you're not happy in your job and you don't like what you're doing, you have to take action. Can you go into that? Because I mean, myself, and I think a lot of people are thinking, yeah, that's easier said than done, right? You have a job.
Of course it's easier said than done.
so yeah, somebody who's unhappy, but they need the salary, then yeah, what can you do?
Sure. I mean, that's a whole topic in and of itself. I've written extensively on entrepreneurship. My entire adult life, I've been an entrepreneur, and I'm really not here to be like, you have to do this or that in your life. Because quite frankly, it is your life. And I'm not here to try and like say, you need to do this and that. What I'm saying is, if you feel a discontent or you feel like you're not getting the complete experience of life, then it's your responsibility to be the person that's proactively looking at ways to change and evolve that. And that I do stand by 100%. And what that means is like, even something as simple as going out to a party with friends. Some people say, I'll go out and I'll see what happens. Who knows? Some people go out and be like, I want to see if I can meet some really interesting people here and start to build relationships that could end up having a dramatic impact on the direction of my life. It's a totally different approach to take, to go into a situation thinking, what can I experience here? What connections and relationships can I create? What opportunities might be out there that I'm not seeing or aware of now? Thinking along those lines starts to really make you more of the author of your own experience instead of somebody that's like a cork in a sea, right? Being blown around by circumstance, reacting to outside events instead of taking the responsibility to start to do more of the things that are going to be fulfilling.
Yeah, that's a good one. I'm taking some notes here, but I mean, I'm going to listen to it again, so I make sure to put it all down in the book, just as you said it, though. But I like it. It's like a cork in the sea who just floats. It flows by, and it's like, it's influenced by the circumstances and not really taking action. So it's reacting, not acting. So so that's a good point. Now let's go back to your life, Jesse, because you've had several businesses, and can you take us a little bit through that story of, you tried several things and maybe you had some, successes, some failures, but you just kept on going until you really created this lifestyle entrepreneurs. Can you take us back a little bit?
Yes, but first I want to say that I'm not at some like end point.
No.
I just want to be very clear that it's like, you try things, some work, some fail, and now you're this guy. But I can promise
but I mean, we can't see in the future. So
exactly.
You can only take us now, right?
What I mean is, yes, it's a constant evolution and changing process. From my own life, after spending a year in Europe, which is mostly just, carefree traveling and making enough money to survive playing music and traveling all around Europe. But then I saw, what was the other side of the glass, and learned about music production by getting invited to record in these studios in Vienna from midnight till 6 a.m. We could have free access to recording studios. So it's like, how does that all work? Ultimately, I followed that to Nashville, Tennessee, and went to audio engineering school. And it was at that time that I met who became my first business partner and my bandmate, a guy named Jay Karsh. And we quickly set to work turning our house into a recording studio, bringing artists over, doing music like 12, 14 hours a day, working on our own songs, playing out, ultimately started to build up a name for ourselves in our band, which was called Jesse Krieger, my name and his combined. And then basically came to a fork in the road where it was like, okay, we could either sign a record deal and like be professional musicians, and if we went that way, it started to look like a lot of responsibility and almost a job in a sense because of the way that those types of contracts are structured. At least 10 years ago, we saw the other alternative was if we started our own record label and basically signed ourselves as our own band and again, took responsibility for creating the kind of music career that we wanted. Mm-hmm. And so that's the road that we took. And that was the beginning of my entrepreneurial journey. I formed my first company at 21. It was a record label, and we were the only band signed to it. But it was a real company. We raised over $125,000, hired a team, executive produced our own record, got a distribution deal through Sony's independent record label, and ultimately toured the country twice and had 9 songs on MTV, music played on 300 plus radio stations. And it was great to the extent that it was the fulfillment of what we had set out to do and what we've been dreaming about most of our young lives. And so that was really my first experience in entrepreneurship. It was a win and a loss in the sense that we did raise money and we were able to execute and get our album out and see it all the way through. Mm-hmm. And after the whole album cycle, we also realized maybe this isn't what we want to do with the rest of our lives. Even even playing in shows with a bunch of people in the audience, still in the back of my mind, I was like, I'm not going to be doing this when I'm 40.
Yeah.
And then for the first time in my life, the question came up, well, what else would I do? The only thing I had ever thought about was music, being a professional musician. Uh-huh. And so I guess if there's a lesson here on confidence, it's that even when you have a goal and you hit it, and then you decide to change directions and go in a completely new space, people might not understand it, but that's a confident move. And so we, after talking through it, within a week or so, we dissolved the record label, made sure everybody was paid and stuff, but very quickly scaled back to being 4 individual guys instead of a band that's together 24/7. And I was like, wow, this is crazy. It's a new chapter in life. So I moved back to California and started doing some consulting, and then started to get exposed to all different types of business. And through doing consulting work that started focused on the music industry, right, but quickly bridged to how can I work with other companies, creative ideas, business development, strategy, expansion. And that led me into a few years of doing consulting and finance, and ended up having a stint as an investment banker and all this crazy stuff. Started a renewable energy credits company, and we were like a wholesale broker between power, solar power, hydroelectric, et cetera, and commercial and residential buyers. And it just goes on. Like, I've really been involved. When I just say it all out loud, it sounds like I've done so many different things. And in a way I have, but it's just a continual adventure unfolding. Every couple of years, wherever I'm at, I start to get an idea of a new pathway to go down. And by and large, if I were to sum up confidence in a word, it's like being willing to go down that road when you see the new opportunity, you see the new possibility, and you want it. But then of course you wonder, but I've got something going here. I've got something good. And so are you willing to change? Are you willing to cut something away in order to have the space for something new to appear and grow? Which I guess is a takeaway, a lesson in confidence. I do believe in life, in order for something new to grow and develop, something else has to die or pass away. And you look at that in food. Even if you're a vegetarian, even if you never eat an animal, plants still had to die in order to sustain you. Everything in life cycles in such a way. So you can't do 50 things at once. You always have to prioritize and focus your efforts. And that decision-making process requires confidence to have an opportunity cost to your choice.
That is very inspiring and very true. And I want to summarize just a few points that you made and then go into that. So basically what you said is you change directions frequently, which is okay. And I want to point that out, because some people think, oh, I have to find my one path, my one life path, and then follow that and then achieve it. And if I don't, then I fail. No, you try things worked out, some things didn't, then you tried something else. Maybe if it worked out, you thought, well, maybe I want something else, so you always kind of take action to evolve is the word you use. And I like that. It's a constant evolution, actually. So that's a great point, is that you can change direction. It is okay. It is a constant evolution, and be willing to go down to the road of, the new things and learning new things. So I really, really like that.
It is okay. Maybe that's the most important thing. And also I'm all about finding your life's purpose. And quite honestly, I think I found mine now in publishing and coaching and working with authors and leading live events. But I'll tell you what, that's the result of trying a lot of different things. So how do you know what your actual life purpose is? You can't just sit down and do a list of pros and cons. Well, here's the positive things if I choose this as my life path, and here's the negative things. No, you literally get out there and try a lot of things and give it your all, and really try to get the most out of every experience that you do involve yourself in. And then eventually it's just like, what's a good analogy? I think of it as sort of like driving you're just driving from one country to another, right? Yeah. If you're driving at night on a highway, your destination is like 500 miles away, and yet you can only see 1,000 feet in front of you. And as long as you keep moving, then you see new signs. You see the arrow that points you this way where to go. You say, no, don't go that way. There's an accident. As long as you keep moving, you get the new information that can take you further. If you stop, then you end up just looking at the same view over and over again, right? And then you start to wonder, is there anything else out there? And so I like to think in analogies and stories as well as like really tactical concepts too.
Yeah, I really like that, because those analogies and those images, they stick by you. So it's like, it's so much easier to remember. And I like that. You know, you drive on the highway, it's dark, you can't see too far ahead, but you have to keep moving and all the signs. And in life, I think it's the same. You try a lot of things, but you look at the signs in your life and the, you know, people talking to you and relationships you build and not build. And so you keep on growing, actually. That's how I see it. You really keep on growing. So let's talk about what you're doing now, because you mentioned a lot, you know, lifestyle entrepreneur, and you know, that's what you like doing at this moment in your life. But what actually are you doing? Who are you helping? What is it about the authors and the publishing? Tell us.
Sure. I don't know if you can read it, but I got this thing behind me. It says, Jesse Krieger, the author's secret weapon. And look, that's become sort of like my tagline. I didn't even come up with it. One of the authors that I work with sort of gave it to me and it stuck. But what I do is I run a modern publishing company called Lifestyle Entrepreneurs Press. And it's modern in the sense that, you know, in normal publishing, publishers don't actually promote or market for their authors. And that's okay. It's not the business model. But a lot of authors think, oh my God, I finally got a publishing deal. Why aren't my books selling? And so we take the approach of doing a marketing and strategic plan with our authors, actually overseeing the launch. I mean, our main service is a done-for-you publishing and bestseller launch, and always look at the book as a foundational piece for the broader business and brand. Because a book is great in the sense that it's valuable, it can be life-changing, but it's still only a product with a $15, $20 price point. And the real opportunity lies in people getting to know you and learn from you and trust you through your book, and then having that feed into your broader business. And that can take many forms, from speaking, running training programs, running live events, doing summits, all sorts of stuff can grow out of doing a book, coaching work, etc., as well as, you know, physical products businesses and other types of things, many examples. And so we work with people that have an inspiration to have a book be part of their life, that feel called to write a book and have a sort of an entrepreneurial approach to their business and life.
Yep, and that's exactly where I am. So I totally hear you. Like, the book is, you know, is supposed to be the hook to many other products that will fall out of that. It's to make yourself credible. It's to make yourself, you know, get out there and people get to know you for, you know, what you can give them. And then comes the speaking or the coaching or all those other products. So you actually, and I like what you said, is you really help the people and the entrepreneurs with a done-for-you package. You know, they can come and you help them from launching to, you know, all the marketing and strategy and everything. So that's awesome. Okay, that's really good to know.
That's my main thing. And in addition to that, when I said, you know, I look at that as the core. And on the front end, I have a lot of free training for authors. I've got an author training program that's like an online training program. I have a few different communities online, authors and entrepreneurs. And on the back end, right, after going through a publishing process, I've got an amazing group of year-long coaching clients I have a program called the Author to Entrepreneur Experience. And we're going through, they're creating books, launching them, and building actual business development throughout the course of the year. And I run 4 live events a year as well. And I speak at other people's events and do media like this. So if you ask, like, what do I do now? That's the majority of what I do. Work on book projects, talk to authors, speak at events, do media, and publish books.
Yeah, as if it's nothing, right? But you do it with so much.
It's everything. It's everything.
But you speak as, you know, you speak, how should I say it? You like so much what you do that it's with pleasure. That's what I feel from you. You know, it's a lot of things that you do, but you do it with so much pleasure because it's what you like doing. Yeah,
it's an interesting balance, you know. On the one hand, I don't really think in terms of like, I've got so much work to do, because I actually do love a large part of the actual work process of what I do right now. what I do think is, oh my gosh, there's a lot of stuff going on. How do I keep my energy level high? How do I take care of my body? How do I have balance with relationships or spending time outdoors, so that when I am doing all of these things, that I can come with the same energy and enthusiasm that the moment requires?
Well, can you tell us, what is your daily practice or your daily routine to keep your balance? I'm curious.
So important. It's so important.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting. Even though I've traveled to 30 some countries, I've spent 20% of my adult life international somewhere else. And yet day to day, my day looks pretty similar no matter where I am. In general, I'll wake up, do some yoga and stretch, drink a black coffee, exercise, starting with weights and ending with cardio, shower up, eat a healthy breakfast, and then sit down and focus on the most important tasks that are present in my business at the time for 2 to 3 hours. And that's my sort of core creative period. If I'm going to be editing a book or writing, a new website page or creating a training module, I'll just do it in that time, because it's on the tail end of this nice morning arc of body health, stretching, everything's good. Then jump into the most important work. In the afternoon is when I have client calls, talk to authors, do business development, talk to partners, handle administrative aspects of the business, and then take a break and have dinner and do something else for a few hours. And then I just choose whether I'm going to work more or just disconnect and go out and do something with friends. And then that just becomes a function of what's going on at the time. Sometimes I just work like day after day and I get so much done. And then sometimes I'm like, I'm just going to go out and have fun. But largely that's the structure of my day, every day, no matter where I am.
I like that a lot. There's two things you said is sometimes, you work, and sometimes you just have fun. And again, that comes down to the fact of it's okay too, it doesn't have to be work or every day the same thing. So it's okay. And that's important to know. And what I really like is when you said, you try to keep your balance, and that's what makes it seem like the work you do is not really work. It comes with ease because you are so balanced and you really, you do things. This proves it. Your routine, you take your time for your friends, you take your time for your exercise, and this is what keeps you in shape and keeps you in balance as well, and what keeps you, working with that ease, I think. So that's really important.
I thank you. And let me also just say that with having that structure is helpful because entrepreneurship is such a roller coaster. So that's the structure of my day. What's actually happening in the content of my day, so to speak, can be, incredibly stressful or incredibly exhilarating. Anybody that's in business or started a business knows you're always looking at cash flow and financial side and wondering if everything's going to break and fall apart or if it's going to be your best month or year ever. And the best you can do is show up and play to win, give it your all. And then at least, you don't have regrets if something doesn't work out. Yeah, you're not dead. So it's just a learning experience. But I just want to say that, even though I have structure and I have passion, there's still tons of ups and downs and all arounds that come with, entrepreneurship and stuff. Because ultimately you're dealing with people, and people can be unpredictable. They also have a lot of similarities. And it's really an experience of humanity, working closely with people that also are passionate, also have drive, and all sorts of stuff going on in their worlds. So it's been a fun run, and I'm excited to really build out this publishing company. I want to have hundreds of books that serve people all around the world, inspire them, give them the information that they need to start taking action on different aspects of their life. And that's what we're doing. And I'm happy with it.
Awesome. Really, really great. And I like it when you said, because that's the reality of it is, it's like there's ups and there's downs, and nobody should think that everything just comes into your platter, nobody's going to give it to you on a silver platter. So it's just that there is ups and downs. And I think that's important to mention. So thank you for mentioning that.
It sort of ties back to the first point of like being the author of your own experience. It's like I can control how I wake up, what I do in the morning, how I take care of my body, what I put in it. I can't control what things are going to come across my plate, what, unexpected emails or phone calls or change of plans that are happen or any other thousand things. So I try and have a lot of control and consistency over the variables that I can control. And then I'm at least in the right frame of mind to deal with things that aren't going as expected.
Yeah. That's a good point, though. You control as much as you can control, because some of the things, just like you say, people are people, and you can't control everything. So there are unexpected things. So I'm conscious of the time, Jesse, and I want to end with one final word of advice from you for people that are sitting out there hesitating, not feeling confident, like, oh, what should I do? What is on confidence level? What would be your best advice?
Well, I think that we've really covered it's hard to just say one specific thing, but I think if you listen to and synthesize the conversation that we've had, it really comes down to taking ownership for the life and the lifestyle that you want to have, because quite frankly, nobody's going to give it to you. And if they do, you won't appreciate it as much as if you put in the time and effort to build it out yourself. And so ultimately there aren't any shortcuts, but taking a longer view and having a consistent daily practice is what builds a momentum. It's what builds, when we're talking on the phone here, it's hard to even remember all of the things I've been involved in, but that's just a function of continuing to press forward and try and continue to take ownership for what I want to create. So that's the long game that I encourage you all to take. And, get in touch. I'm pretty easy to find. Love to share some books and knowledge and have conversations with all of you listening to or hearing this or reading this. And I appreciate you, Rachel, for bringing me on.
Thank you so much, Jesse. I'm not going to add too much to it, because what you said is so true. Confidence is really a mixture of things. And if we listen to this whole conversation, there's loads of value in there for people to, and I will definitely grab all of it and put it in my book. And I will also definitely put your details and website and stuff in the book so people can find you, and they will find you. And it was a pleasure talking to you, Jesse. And I thank you so much. And I wish you all the best.
Thank you so much. And thanks everybody for listening.